Making a market review of Ripple because I recently posted a Medium article about where I think Ripple is going to go on the BCT chart, and then I also have some analysis on the USD chart as well. I thought I'd make a video to try to make it more clear where my thinking is. So I'm starting off on the monthly view on Poloniex because Poloniex has the most data on Ripple. And let's first zoom in on the most recent price action. Okay, and again, we have to remember we're looking at the monthly chart, the monthly view. So there's a lot of time and a lot of price action that is happening within these levels. Okay, the first thing I want to kind of point out to your attention is this close right here. Okay, so this monthly close in August has been acting as support up until December, at the end of December. You can see here that if this were to remain bullish, then we would expect that all these closes would have bounced off of this support and would start moving its way back up. However, we can see clearly that in December we closed below it. In January we closed below it. February, we are currently testing that level right now. We're currently at that level and we're testing it. We were currently rejected. But remember, this is a monthly time frame. So we can easily wick up, I think, all the way up to that, roughly that 3,000 number, okay, and still be rejected down and still close below this monthly resistance. Now, if we do happen to close above with vengeance, then that means that this section here was just a deviation, okay? And it means that we weren't necessarily going to be going down. It was just a way for people, market makers, to fill their orders. However, if in February we close below this line here, and especially if we close below January, this is indicative of a move that's going to be going down further and further. Okay, now the other reason why I'm really bearish on the Bitcoin Ripple pair is because if you take a look at this wick here, this wick wicked all the way back up into prior support and then rejected all the way back down. Okay, retail investors cannot do this. Market makers can do this. Okay, and they use these higher time frame charts to determine where they want price to go, because they are manipulating price to get it to a place where they want to buy. Okay, and so the question is what is the price that they're willing to buy at? So this is where we take a look at the historical view of Ripple. Okay, so historically with Ripple, the two times that we had these massive blast-offs were in May of 2017 and December of 2017. And the question is what price were market makers happy to buy Ripple at on the XRP pair? Because my premise is on the fact that the Bitcoin pair is being manipulated to bring price down to a particular level so this way they can fill up their bags. Because these market makers, if they were to buy Ripple at the current price point and they were to do a market buy, which they wouldn't do, they are going to push price really high, really fast, and they're not going to be able to fill the orders. So what they need to do is they need to provide liquidity so that this way they can fill all their orders, or as many orders as possible, but without actually moving price. And the only way they do that is they force the market to move in the opposite direction of where they want it to go. Okay, so let's take a look at where I think it's going to be going. So I'm going to draw a box here, and I'll explain my thinking for why I'm putting this box here. Okay, if you're not familiar with the ICT order block, this is basically just looking at a particular area of price where a lot of buying or selling had occurred. So why am I choosing this price? Because this was the price where we had to break cleanly through this price prior to having this massive move up. Okay, it is very clear to me that we had to break this price in order to move up. Take a look at this candle here. The moment that we saw this monthly close above that line, you should have gotten balls to the wall long here. Okay, now why is this also important? So we can also use our fib tool, okay, to find the 50% EQ of that area. And if you take a look here, the second time Ripple pumped, it tapped right into that EQ and blasted right off. Okay, so why is that important? This shows that market makers want to move price to this area in order to move price in the direction that they want the price to go. Okay, so let's go back to where we are now. We are bearish. That is the premise. Market structure is low, lower high, lower low, lower high. So the question is where's that lower high going to be going? Okay, and so taking a look at the weekly levels, we could probably say with some reasonable estimation that we should expect price to come someplace near this region or in this region before we have some sort of move down. Maybe price comes and wicks up into the 3100 region as well, but we would expect price to come into this region at some point before making a move down. And if we want to get a little bit more specific, we can maybe take a look at the daily view and see that, maybe that's the real zone where price will might wick up and get rejected down. Okay, on the daily, again, you can see low, higher high, lower low. We're looking at market structure, so we're looking at closes, lower high, lower low. In my opinion, this is just lower high, right? If you're looking on the daily here, this is just lower highs in my opinion. Now, let's take a look at the Ripple US dollar pair. Maybe we'll take a look at Bitfinex. Okay, again, let's just take a look at the monthly view. Okay, so again, low, lower high, lower low, lower high. So where's the U.S. dollar possibly coming up to? We might see a run up to this level here, the 31 cent level, or maybe we might see a run up to these particular highs, right? I could definitely see a run up to the 30 cents mark and then potentially rejected back down. Okay, but we're still in a bearish market structure. Let me show you the Ethereum BTC chart just to kind of give you a more clear picture of what a bullish market structure would look like. So if we take a look at the Ethereum chart, this is a bullish market structure. Take a look at that close, the monthly close. Remember, we're on the monthly chart. Monthly close, massive move up, and we closed above the August open. So that's bullish. That means that when we're coming back, we would expect to buy. And again, look at this level and see how it's acting as support. See how we're closing just above it. We might have wicked down, but we're still closing above it. And then now, in February, we're currently moving away from it. So I expect more upside to Ethereum. This is a good time to start putting together a position. I don't expect this thing to blast off right away. I would expect there to be some sort of return back to the price point. If you're trying to figure out a good place to buy, you can take a look at the EQ of this range. Oftentimes people will use a range to say the first low where price came from as we're moving down to the last high or the first high from that rejection point, and that will give you a good estimation of where price kind of wants to stay and go. If we take a look at the daily, we can see that we've just closed above that 50% EQ, which means that Ethereum, we should expect there to be a nice move up and probably up to that range high. Okay, here, let me change the settings so this way you can see the values of the range. Okay, so I could definitely see Ethereum come all the way up, and so even if you were to buy in now, you're looking at a good 10% move. Okay, so Ethereum definitely looks bullish in comparison. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin for a moment. Okay, so here's a chart that I posted on Twitter recently. Okay, and what am I looking at here? So here's the weekly order block. This is the last time that smart money, the market makers, whatever you want to call them, they were selling during this time. We had this massive move down. We wicked back up into it. Another massive move down. Consolidation, very bullish here. We moved back up. we move up, and we're currently at this point here where we're not sure, are we going to reject here, or are we going to move up? Now, if we were to have rejected, and it was going to be a rejection, I would expect to see some sort of weekly close along these lines here, right? One where there's a clear move down. Right now we're currently consolidating, and you can see that we're consolidating from the previous week's close. So if we are to continue downside, there should be a large move down by Sunday of next week. However, I personally feel that this is going to consolidate and remain bullish for this week. And my premise, what I believe is going to happen, is oftentimes price will consolidate just below an order block, a place where liquidity is expected, in order to move price in the opposite direction. So why is that? Why do I think that? Well, because this is the price point area here, where if people see price go here, they're going to start longing as much as possible. They're not going to practice proper risk management, and what's going to happen is it's going to provide an incredible amount of liquidity for market makers to be able to move the market back down to a price level that for them is a better price point. Okay, so I kind of see something where there's, on the daily, some sort of consolidation, a move up into that EQ, and a rejection down, and I kind of am looking around that 87, 85 to 8,500. I'm looking within that range to find a good time to buy. Okay, if we take a look at this box right here, that's going to be a great time to buy. So if price were to come down, break out of that range, and then pop back into that range, what I would do for my risk management would be that I would enter in on that range. Okay, and to practice good risk management, you should only be risking 2% per trade. Okay, and I'd put my stop below that mark after we've re-entered that trade. And where would I be targeting? Well, we're certainly going to be coming up to here, and in my opinion, we're actually going to be going, at the minimum up to this range high. So you could have a 2% risk on this and make a huge amount of money for having a fairly tight stop after we've re-entered into that order block. And if you were to hold this out, you can make some really, really nice profit. I mean, if you're using a 5x margin, and you're earning 30%, you've just doubled 1.5 times your account for one little move. Okay, and that's the way that we really want to be making our money. So that's what I'm thinking is going on with BTC. So what I'm thinking is might happen is that on this way down, when all this massive selling is going, right, everyone's going to be getting really bullish, really bullish, really bullish. When we're rejected here, there's going to be a massive sell-off. And so what I'm kind of thinking is going to happen in Ripple. Okay, oops. Okay, what I kind of see happening with Ripple is something where, as that bullishness is happening, bullish, 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 it's going crazy. We come up into the 3,000 level, and when Bitcoin is rejected, that's just going to create all that liquidity that's necessary to come all the way back down. Wow, my drawing sucks. Sorry, guys. To get all that liquidity to come down. So if you want to profit off of this, what I would do is I would put my orders around this 1,400 level Satoshis and sit back and wait for price to come to where you want to buy it. Now, I also noticed that something like this has happened similar in Ripple. Okay, so if we actually take a look at prior to this run up, something similar has happened with Ripple before, where again we're on the monthly time frame. Here's the monthly. Okay, so if we're going to remain bullish, we expect to close above this and act as support. So we reject from here really strong. I mean, look at that strong move. And then when we come back down, where do we close? We close below. That's bearish. So what might we see in Ripple? We might see a dip down, pop back up, and what happens? Well, this is now our new low for market structure. And what happens? Boom, close just below. That means we're going to be going down. This is clear. in my mind, Ripple will be moving down before it makes its major move up. So this is Obi-Wan Holobi. This is my first video. Appreciate any feedback and comments. You guys can follow me on Twitter, and I guess I will post this to YouTube, and you can follow me on YouTube. And if you like it, then maybe I'll work on putting together some other videos. All right, thanks guys. Bye bye.